Now, a little social commentary on this. Seeing that this is God's truth, notice with me, again, that no other human need is given quite the exclamation point here in the creation account. And seeing that that is the case, that God emphasizes and highlights this human need of companionship, what might happen to a society that becomes deprived of this basic human need? What might become of a culture that begins to abandon the marriage relationship? What might happen if most of the marriages that even remain don't operate on the basis of this companionship as God designed? What might happen to a society that begins to replace human relationships with video game playing or TikTok watching or pornography or virtual reality or meta? What might be the result of a society that was then largely forced for over a year to isolate from other people on the basis of a pandemic? What could we expect to be the ramifications of a rejection of God's design in the area of human companionship? Perhaps we would see a rise in such things as mass shootings. Perhaps we might see a rise in such things as mental illness and suicide. Perhaps we would see an increase, or even there would be an epidemic of drug abuse. And of course, you know that's exactly the things we are seeing, isn't it? That is exactly what we would expect to find in a society that would choose to experiment in the way that it is and saying, this thing that we've had done, that has been tried and true, that God's designed for thousands of years, let's not really do that anymore. In a generic verse about friendship, it says, iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend. What is that talking about? It's talking about through your communication, you're helping to make that other person better, right? Sharpening the countenance. Thus, in the marriage relationship, a husband and wife are to sharpen one another, to benefit the other through their interaction. And if you're married, I want to ask you, I'm married, so I'm asking myself, are you striving to provide that companionship for your spouse? And for yourself, for that matter. If you're not married, have you been spending time with the Lord, strengthening your relationship with Him? Have you been seeking godly companionship with other believers? Have you been neglecting God's design of finding companionship and fellowship in the local congregation, local assembly, by being in church? Have you been neglecting God's design by seeking to fill that void of companionship through other superficial needs, through video games, through TikTok, through worse things like pornography, or through various things that are out there that seek to take the place of what God designed? And so we are in a place as Christians where we need to take the lead in recognizing, as the world drifts apart, as the world becomes more isolated and wanting to be in their own corners and have their own life and have their own this, we need to recognize as believers that we're going to stand fast to God's design, to stick close in companionship, yes, with other believers, but in the highest form of human companionship within the marriage relationship.